Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell the truth about silver. Today is Thursday, the 8th of July, 2021. And we're carrying out our regular morning update on the news, financials, and gold and silver prices. We can see that silver is still lagging gold, and the FOMC minutes yesterday hit precious metals, at least initially. So let's take a look. Well, good morning. This bright, sunny morning, 10:28 a.m. GMT plus 1, an hour later than we have been doing these videos, and it's barrage walking day today. This is when my better half and I both go to the local barrage and do our 10,000 steps, i.e. a walk to the local cafe, a cake, coffee, and walk back home. Yesterday I had, for the first time in my life, my ears syringed, or should I say cleaned out, with water under pressure. An interesting experience, to say the least. I'm not going to comment on what came out, but let's just say my hearing has improved quite dramatically. Okay, enough of that. Let's have a look. What's going on in the news today? Well, headlines on Bloomberg: reflation undone as growth angst spreads to stocks, markets wrap. Gold retreats below $1,800. ECB agrees on new inflation goal of 2%, but will allow an overshoot. Well, that obviously suggests a little bit of softening, or does it? We'll take a look at that. The UK Boris Johnson didn't break rules over luxury trip to Mustique. Yes, he went abroad and didn't declare it at someone's expense. And crypto scammers rip off billions as pump and dump schemes go digital. A bit more FUD. In other words, negative news about cryptocurrencies. So let's have a look at gold first, see what's happened. Although we can say it's marginally altered since this update at 7:46. Gold trim gains made during a 6-day winning streak as investors mulled Federal Reserve minutes that showed policymakers wanted a more solid economic recovery before setting a timeline for trimming bond purchases. Note from the Fed's June meeting indicated officials weren't ready to schedule the withdrawal of the bank's massive bond buying program, given uncertainties around the economic outlook. But they also acknowledged the need to plan for stimulus tapering. While the report helped gold notch a close above $1,800 an ounce, on Wednesday the precious metal again retreated below that level on Thursday as the dollar strengthened. The minutes reiterated the possibility for stimulus to be paid back sooner than anticipated. There was no big surprise in the Fed's minutes, and gold's upward move wasn't particularly strong, Huaishai Futures wrote in a website note. Precious metals were going to stay volatile in the short term as investors weighed the path for US monetary policy and inflation, the brokerage said. So basically, the Fed minutes, you could argue, were hawkish, but one would argue that they're not going to look at tapering yet. So again, we reiterate what we said 2 weeks ago. We thought it was a moderately dovish statement. The press and media are building it up to be hawkish. We don't actually see that being the case. But it's all smoke and mirrors. Let's have a quick look at the ECB. Agrees on a new inflation goal of 2%. European Central Bank policymakers have agreed to raise their inflation goal to 2%. And allow room to overshoot it when needed. The decision marks a significant change from the previous target of below but close to 2%, which some policymakers felt was too vague. We mentioned in our videos last week that generally central banks, certainly in the Western world, are looking at this 2% inflation figure. We may very well do a report on this at some stage, because the reason for 2%, to a large degree, is over time, that is regarded as a reasonable rate of inflation, bearing in mind wages. Because whatever happens, if inflation's 10% and wages rise 2%, people are significantly worse off. And you have pressures then from unions and workers in general complaining that their standard of living is falling. And that's on the official figures. We all know inflation in the real world is higher than the official figures portray. So that's why they can see that inflation is not going to get below 2% for some time. And so they're upping their figures. To us, it's just a sign of, shall we say, loose monetary policy. Let's have a look then. BBC. England book place in Euro 2020 final. Harry Kane's extra time winner sends England to the final of the European Championship for the first time in history. So everyone's going to be pleased about that. Travel changes for double jabbed to be set out. Sunak defends end of £20 universal credit boost, part of the package that we had, furlough type package. People had an extra £20. Looking at United States. Trump sues Twitter, Google and Facebook. Former president's accounts were suspended over safety concerns after the Capitol riots. Some people are accusing him of grifting because he's raising money now on the back of this legal challenge. And legal experts are saying it's going nowhere. It's just an excuse to raise money. We're not passing comment on that. We'll just wait and see what happens. And just looking through here, the Florida storm, Miami collapse, Gates Foundation agrees backup plan, gives Melinda Gates the option to resign and receive personal resources for further charity work. We won't go into that, but obviously there's more to it than meets the eye. And really, economically, there's not a huge amount coming out. Certainly not as far as mainstream media news is concerned. So with that, let's have a look. Dollar, 92.53. Down 0.1 today, but still comfortably in that 92.5 bracket. Oil's fallen slightly. WTI crude is $71 and Brent crude is 72.4. Looking at the equity markets yesterday, yes, they rose yesterday. The Dow up 104, S&P up 14, Nasdaq up 1.4. That's partly because, as we've mentioned, those minutes were a little more dovish, which means that there are not going to be some major restrictions on the economy in terms of pumping more money into it. However, here in Europe and the UK, we're down on average 1.5% to 2%. Interesting. And overnight, the Asia-Pacific markets broadly down. We're hurtling through these so as not to make this video too long. Let's have a look at the gold price. Yes, it's comfortably, let me refresh the page to make sure. It's still comfortably above that 1800 level. It did dip. Today's low was as low as 1796. It's now at 1810. Silver, let me refresh that. Silver is worsening. We did predict this, unfortunately. 2613. It's down 27 over the day, but since Friday's opening, it's down 36 cents. And Bitcoin, yes, the cryptos took a hit today, down $1,528. Been as low as 33,100 and as high as 35. It's now 33,200, so not far above its low. Looking at economic data, we mentioned the PMIs yesterday. Job openings broadly as forecast, 9.2 million, maybe marginally disappointing. There was some hope of an expectation of 9.3. The FOMC minutes came out, and as we've covered those, we won't go into those. Today, though, two important details, and probably the most important now for the week. Initial jobless claims, 364,000 last week. Expectations around 350. Let's see what happens. And consumer credit figures for May, 19 billion last month. by last month I mean April. We're looking for May's figures. Expectations of 18 billion. That's it for now. Thank you for listening. Please, by all means, any comments, do share them. Hopefully give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe. We're not going to do another video today, but we will certainly talk about the Fed tomorrow. So there'll be 2 videos coming out tomorrow. And we'll explain really what the FOMC minutes actually meant and revealed to us. Meanwhile, have a great day. Disclaimer. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.